Now, if you have any spiritual friends, you might have heard one of them say something along the lines of, you're vibrating at a lower frequency. Now, energetically or emotionally, this can be considered a lowered state and often perceived as being a negative thing. However, when it comes to your brain waves, being in a lowered state is not necessarily a bad thing. The lower your brain waves are, the more calm, relaxed, and or sleepy you are. The higher your brain waves are, the more alert and aware you are. Your brain has about 60 thoughts per minute whenever it undergoes stress. But as our brain frequency starts to lower, the thoughts we have per minute decrease. And this is why people have such a hard time meditating, because, majority of people that you meet are so high strung and stressed out to begin with. So there's always going to be an influx of thoughts going on in their brain. But quieting the mind tends to be a lot easier once you understand how brain waves work. Brain waves are divided into 4 main sections based on their frequency speed. You have beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Now, if you're familiar with Sigmund Freud's 3 levels of consciousness, you might have seen it depicted as an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg represents our conscious mind. The surface represents our analytical mind, and then below the surface represents our subconscious mind. Now, this of course is an oversimplification to explain the mind due to the fact that the mind itself is so complex and there's still so much we don't know about it, but it's a good visual aid nonetheless to explain how brainwaves work. Now, going back to the 4 brainwaves, the tip of the iceberg represents beta. This is us awake and alert with our brainwave activity moving really fast. Whenever you're analyzing something, learning a new skill, stressed out, or focusing on a task, your brainwaves are going to be in beta. Now, when it comes to learning a new skill, being in beta, while necessary, is not optimal for learning and acquiring a new skill, which is counterintuitive because when you're learning a new difficult task, you're always going to be in beta. Next, we have alpha. This is the resting state of the brain. We're still aware, but things start to slow down a little bit. And this is where we start to make our transition from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. Alpha is actually the state where flow happens. You're relaxed but present and disconnected from the external world. In the movie Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee explains this beautifully when describing a fight. A good fight should be like a small play, but played seriously. A good martial artist does not become tense, but ready. Not thinking, but not dreaming. Ready for whatever may come. When the opponent expands, I contract. When he contracts, I expand. And when there is an opportunity, I do not hit. It hits all by itself. Alpha state is also where our creativity stems from. It's where we get our best ideas. So if you're in a creative funk and you're looking for inspiration, the most optimal time to find that is right upon waking or right before you're drifting off to go to bed. Ever since learning this, I keep a journal by my bedside just in case I get an idea and I need to write it down really quickly. As we start to move down in consciousness, we start to transition from alpha to theta. Theta is a dreamlike state where our memories and our beliefs are stored. It's also the state that we're in from the moment we're born to the age of 7. This is why kids have such a vast imagination. It's because they're withdrawn from the external world and their physical senses. They're still operating internally because they're still in the process of learning how the outside world works. When you're in this state, you're more suggestible to change, which is really good to know because if you have a habit of negative behavior or self-limiting beliefs, this is the part of the mind where a lot of those beliefs reside. And finally, we have delta waves, which is considered to be our unconscious mind. This is where dreamless sleep occurs and when the body is healing and repairing itself. This is also the state you were in when you were just a little fetus in your mom's womb. The takeaway message here is once we learn how to bypass our conscious and analytical mind and go beyond our sense of self, only then can we find our true flow.